Hey everybody, Dave here, Clint here. Ant-Man trailer out there. Finally we get a look at Ant-Man that's more than just Paul Rudd looking sullen in front of the Golden Gate Bridge.
Yes.
Or do we? Because that's basically all the trailer was.
Yeah, this was really weird. This might be the weirdest trailer that they've ever come out with, and I don't necessarily think that's a great thing. I think after I was done watching the trailer, I rewatched it in case I missed like something huge.
Yeah, there was a certain amount of wait a minute. Okay, hang on, I missed the cool part.
It's frustrating. This
It
was
is.
not a great trailer, and they always have great trailers.
The thing that the trailer screwed up with, I think, is that it tried to be epic without including anything epic in the trailer.
Exactly.
It tried to be funny with jokes that are overly dry and just felt flat among the rest of this epic sort of music that they had in there. And so, and then it also just didn't tell us anything.
No, it also...
And I don't want to know everything.
Right.
I really don't.
Oh, no.
But you gotta give us something.
Well, think about like the Age of Ultron trailer. You know, they were able to really showcase some really interesting, creepy, cool stuff, and it was really well layered, and it was really interesting, and they didn't really give away a lot, but they still made it interesting. This, I felt like also it was sort of like the paint by numbers superhero thing, right? It was like misunderstood kid who's being played by, you know, somebody in his mid-40s. The like amazing old scientist enchanted man with a dusty basement and an old superhero suit. Is this not just a case though of like the ghosts of Edgar Wright past? You just want to go like, see Marvel,
there's so
see
much,
what you did.
There's so much baggage. With this movie.
Well,
and there's so much baggage coming into watching this trailer, and then the trailer isn't really much of anything, and it's just like...
Do you think Marvel was just like, we don't need you, Edgar Wright, okay? We got the guy who directed Bring It On.
Yeah. Ironically, we're firing you, we're hiring a guy who directed a movie called Yes Man.
Exactly. What I find really interesting, though, is what the story they're going to tell. That's what I'm most excited about, because, you know, we know Hank Pym was the original Ant-Man, and they're showcasing that. Scott Lang's a really interesting character, because he's basically just a guy who is a burglar, who basically steals the Ant-Man costume in the comic books so that he can... It's a weird story, but basically his daughter has a heart disease, and he needs to rescue a doctor that has been kidnapped by Darren Cross in order to save his daughter. And Darren Cross is a character in this, played by Corey Stoll, who's fantastic, great actor.
That's the other thing, the cast in it. The whole time I'm watching this completely tepid trailer, I'm like, you can't put Michael Pena in a movie and it not be good.
I know, he's so great.
But even Michael Pena looks super bored. But the cast is outstanding, so I'm really rooting for something. I'm really rooting for this to just be a bad trailer. And the other thing is, this is supposed to be a heist movie. Like that's all of the official synopsis that have come out, and be like, now they have to pull off a heist to save the world or whatever the hyperbole is in the synopsis. But you didn't get any sense of that at all. And that's my biggest frustrating thing with it. You didn't get a sense of what this movie's gonna be. Every Marvel movie, they've gone out of their way to sort of do a different genre, which is part of what I've been fascinated with by the whole thing. You know, they've got the big fantasy stuff with Thor, they've got the hard science stuff with the Iron Man, they've got the political thriller with Winter Soldier.
Yes.
And then Guardians, obviously, was its whole space opera thing. And then this just looks like a super generic movie.
Yeah.
Like, this doesn't have any sort of personality. Granted, they're running out of genres. Like, you know, but still, they didn't give us any sense of what this movie's going to be, and that was really frustrating.
Also, I like that they added, like, you're saying it sort of looks very, like, general. I like they had to add the perfunctory, like, jacked superhero with his shirt off thing.
They had, like, 8 frames of Paul Rudd going,
he's like, is it this way to the weight room? I just remember, we were talking before the show, and you were talking about the prison slap fight.
Oh, yeah, even the prison fight. They're like...
Yeah, you're right. Like, so much of it was weird.
Michael Pena's one shot in the thing. He looks bored.
Yeah.
Every cutaway to Paul Rudd's face, he looks just kind of. The prison fight looks like a slap fight. Even like the feet running down the hallway, Ant-Man's legs running down the hallway. He's running kind of slow.
I will give the fact that it is a teaser trailer. You know, they don't have to give too much away. I just think that it was about tone, and the tone felt really off.
The tone, there was no tone.
It was so flat. Yeah.
Well, and look at some of the trailers that have come out recently with the Terminator and Jurassic World and Star Wars, and there's these trailers that don't give you any information, but you know what those movies are going to be.
Exactly.
And this trailer just did none of that.
No.
It didn't give you any information, and it didn't tell you what it was going to be.
It was interesting though. I was talking to my fellow radio host, and she was saying what's really interesting is that Corey Stoll's character Darren Cross is also credited as being Yellow Jacket.
Right.
But what's interesting in the comic books is only one person has ever been Yellow Jacket, and that's Hank Pym. Hank Pym went like schizo and became Yellow Jacket, except for there was also a Skrull imposter, but let's not worry about that. And so it's really interesting to see if Corey Stoll will be Yellow Jacket or if that will be a misdirect and Hank Pym like his crazy side becomes Yellow Jacket. I think they're gonna go into Hank Pym is crazy because for me, you don't hire Michael Douglas to play the kindly old caretaker. You get him because he's played some of the greatest douches in movie history. Yeah. He's Gordon Gekko. Come on.
I'd like to believe that too, because the other thing, and also they're building up Ultron, Age of Ultron, as this is going to be Tony Stark created Ultron.
Yeah.
Where in the comics, like Tony Stark and Hank Pym always had this thing going where they're similar characters in a lot of ways. But then Tony Stark can always be like, well, at least I didn't make Ultron. He always had that over Hank Pym.
Yeah.
So I'm wondering if in some of these flashbacks we'll get to see Hank Pym be more responsible for Age of Ultron, and then that can sort of inform Tony Stark's arc, through the rest of the MCU, Phase 3.
I agree. Well, when they did that synopsis originally of Age of Ultron, they did say that Tony reinstated an old program. So it makes sense that it would be Hank Pym, and I think everyone will be, all us geeks out here will be a little happier on that. I do want to say one thing though I wasn't super enthused about the Ant-Man trailer. I did love Agent Carter. It started last night, the first 2 episodes of an 8-episode series. It's super awesome. Hallie Atwell's awesome. We got Howard Stark in there. And it's just great. It's kick-ass. It's by, all the Marvel elite are working on it right now. And not only that, but Joe Russo. One of the 2 Russo brothers who did Captain America Winter Soldier, directed the second one. So it's super awesome.
Great. And Haley Atwell has gone on record as saying she'd be totally happy to be Peggy Carter for the rest of her life, which we would also be totally happy with that.
Definitely.
Which would be cool. So hopefully this gets spun off into more stuff. I mean, Peggy Carter is a really cool character.
Yeah.
To see her getting her own show and everything. And also the other thing that I like about how much attention they're paying to this 8-episode miniseries is that it really gives me more not hope, but I'm more excited for the Netflix series as well.
Totally.
Because if they're paying this much attention to this miniseries and it's that much better than Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., totally is. I'm still not on board with Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. But these Netflix series I think are going to be great.
Yeah.
Going all the way up through the Defenders I think is going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah.
If how good Agent Carter is any indication. Well, let us know what you think about the trailer for Ant-Man. Thank you for the tea, Michael Douglas. Let us know what you think about the trailer, about Agent Carter, about what's going on with the Marvel Cinematic Universe in general. Let us know what you think about all of it down in the comments below. Click like and subscribe, and come back next time for more movie news on CineFix Now. Did you ever see Behind the Candelabra? You never saw Behind the Candelabra.
No.
But Matt Damon's character is named Scott. And it's just for the first thing in this trailer, I couldn't help but think, Scott.
You should say that while we put
I
this
just did.
in. Oh, you still recording?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, good.